to be honest with you, we don't know the real facts. For example, we honestly don't know how Kanu ended up here. In fact, IPOB is saying that they are not even sure that the man who was charged to court was Kanu, because we don't have a photograph of him in court. But that is stretching it maybe a bit too far. So it's difficult. There's an account that said he came from Brazil. There's an account that said he was arrested in Czechoslovakia. This morning something came up about being arrested in Ethiopia, and I saw another account that is talking of Kenya. So you honestly don't know what has taken place, and difficult to make judgment. A lot of issues would also suffice. It would be interesting to know the passport he was carrying when he came in. You know, he has dual citizenship,
right?
So he would have a Nigerian passport, or he would also have a British passport. So if he was taken from another country, one of the things you need to find out is he was in another country as what citizen. Now, it's lawyers that can sort out all these very complex situations, even if they too have the facts. Okay, but the British authorities have said specifically he wasn't taken from their land, and because they would have had the records or whatever.
Right.
So that is where it is, and it is not unexpected that the British government would take an interest in him, not just because he's a citizen, but because he's a high-profile, politically exposed person. Okay, and he stands for something in his country or in his other country, as the case may be. So yes, there'll be a lot of international to and fro. I am hoping that the federal government considered all these things and what the backlash could be before embarking on bringing him in. But that is not to say, because I do not know how he was even brought in. I don't know if he boarded the plane of his own free will. You know, you need to be open-minded about. I don't think that would be it, but you need to be open-minded about these things. But all said and done, it is important that he gets a fair trial. It is important that he is well taken care of, and that there will be no excuses for any form of sabotage. I think that would be important. It is also advisable for the government. Some of the things that led to this challenges that we have, that we keep highlighting every time, this is the time to start reviewing them one by one, to calm nerves. And like I said yesterday, some people are saying it should be negotiated with, and I've said it is, whether you like it or not, that is going to happen. There would be some form of negotiations along the line. So I would just say, look, everybody tarry a while. Let us get the facts right. I thought that what is reported in the papers yesterday was that he said that, I had to flee the country. But I thought that he probably, if he had been abducted or whatever, he had a chance to say it in court, to say to the judge, well, whilst I tried to flee, but this is how I was brought. There is no record of that. And therefore, it is difficult, very, very difficult for one to give what we call a proper analysis. But Abaribi says that they should respect his human rights. I think that is a given. His human rights have to be. And Afenifere says that Buhari should use the same energy in addressing killer herdsmen menace. And I think that's valid. I mean, that's a valid argument. You can't fault that. You can't fault that at all. You can't fault that argument. But let's stay a while and see how it all pans out. But we should be ready. There could be some kind of backlash, especially on the international front. If it's conditional, if there was something untoward in bringing him in. But as you say, let's just tarry a while and get all the facts.
What do you say to members of IPOB going on a protest yesterday in Port Harcourt?
Well, that would be an expected reaction initially.
Right.
That would always be an initial reaction. You know, that would happen. And you can see it must have been spontaneous. Yes. So it's not unexpected at all.
Right.
Yeah, and it was quite spontaneous. Yes.
Let's move on quickly. We're still with the Punch, by the way. Page 9 of the Punch. 3 policemen allegedly injured in Ganduje's convoy attack in Zamfara.
This country is becoming extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. And what we're reading here is that 3 policemen were injured in an attack. There was an attack on the governor's convoy. It won't be the first, and I don't think it will be the last. The way this country is going. If you want to read the details of how it all took place, you can read the Punch. But like the ACF says nobody is safe in this country, and I think we are all beginning to realize that. So it's a wake-up call for all of us to be extremely careful, to be careful about where we go, to be careful about the things we say, and to be careful about the things that we do. And this doesn't exclude anybody. The kind of country we're living in now, one cannot be too careful. Okay? The story says that that it reminds us that Ganduje's convoy was attacked in 2017 by armed robbers. I mean, so all those who have escorts, 2, 3, 4 policemen guarding them, these things are not an antidote to being attacked. I think the best antidote to being attacked, best security ever, is to move around unrecognized. That's the best. That's what I've been told and what I've been tutored. And that the Ganduje's wife, Professor Hafsat Ganduje, was in the convoy during the attack, which resulted in a heavy gun battle between the security operatives in the convoy and the bandits. And it says that the governor and his wife are flown in a chopper from Jos, to Abuja. Well, we are lucky that no life was lost here, and we thank God for his mercies in that regard. The National Publicity Secretary of the ACF says it is sad, but it goes to show the terrible state of insecurity we are in. I hope the governor is safe and nobody is dead as a result of the attack. May God save us all.
Indeed. We're live on Facebook. We're also live on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can watch us live there. We're with the Punch still, page 6 of the Punch. LG poll, Lagos APC sets up reconciliation committees. We mentioned this yesterday.
I think we did. Yeah. Hopefully, let me be sure this is today's paper. Okay, Thursday, July 1. And you wished me Happy New Month. I think I'll start accepting since it's become the norm now. I think
yes, please do.
Happy New Month.
Happy New Month to you.
Happy New Month. Then tomorrow I'll greet you Happy New Saturday. And on Sunday I'll greet you.
No,
you go tired.
That's extending it too far.
No, it's not extending. If you can come this far.
It's Happy New Month. Or you can say Happy First Saturday.
Happy First Saturday.
Happy weekend.
Happy First Sunday.
Let's just do Happy
That's
weekend.
Part of it. What I will do, you say you are stubborn. I would be you Happy New Year.
That's too much. No, that's too much.
Happy New Year. And Happy New half hour to stretch it a little bit. Just make life uncomfortable for you. Anyway, the Lagos APC, there's a problem with the local government polls.
Sure.
Yeah, and especially with the primaries of the APC. And the APC spokesperson, Sheye Oladejo, has said that the APC has set up a peace and reconciliation committee that will meet aspirants, members, and stakeholders. I can understand. I know who aspirants are. I know who members are of the party. So who are stakeholders? That's the key word. Keyword.
Know.
This is the word. No, this is the word and the section that always causes a problem. Okay, you're going to meet the aspirants. You're going to meet every member of the party. Amongst the party, who are these stakeholders? Every member of the party is a stakeholder.
Yeah.
Okay. You see, that is where the problem starts. I would advise the APC, you might have a reconciliation committee. They might go the length and breadth of the state, but you cannot have reconciliation where you do not have justice. And justice in this is very, very simple. Let every vote count. Let the primaries be transparent. Stop intimidating people. Let every vote count. That's all. There's no other justice. The stakeholders can do whatever they like, but every vote must count. Every vote must count. We must learn in the politics of the way politics in democracy is that every man is equal before the poll. Whether he's a godfather or he's a father god or he's a stakeholder, every vote is the same in the eyes of elections during a democracy. And that's all there is to it. If you allowed every vote to count in a free and fair primaries, there'll be no problem. But this keeps recurring because what usually happens is then the stakeholders will come in, bargaining will come in, and all kinds of things. There'll be soft landing here and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, the whole process would have been completely compromised. Let's start doing things in a very decent manner.
Indeed.
And in a very transparent manner. Look, the reason why we have all this turmoil now, if you look at the rhetoric of people phoning in, it's frightening. The average Nigerian is very angry.
Very angry.
Very, very angry. Understandably so. And that is because justice is missing in the land. That you can use that to cover all the other problems that we have. It starts and ends with justice. Okay, just if you think properly, if you look at corruption, if you look at everything across the board, it is justice, where people are not given the recognition that is due them. And that's why in recent times, I've had time now to listen again to other programs. You can see the average Nigerian is very hungry, not just because of hunger, not just because things are bad, but because there is injustice in the land. There is injustice in the land, and we have gotten to a very, very dangerous precipice that if we are not careful, it might consume us all. So we beg our politicians, let's start by giving a good example. Even if it's a man who joined your party yesterday, but under your laws he can, and you don't know him too well, for the fact that he's the one that the people say they want, let it be. It gives way for peace. And healthy competition, yes.
Internal democracy.
Internal democracy. But where you always want to interfere in a free and fair process, this is what you get. Politicians should listen more to the radio and look at the things going on in the social media. There is a lot of anger. A lot of anger. So APC, fine, you set up a committee. You say you want to meet aspirants, you want to meet members. I don't know, these stakeholders, you better crash them down to members. Let everybody be at the same level. You might be a leader. A leader is just somebody picked out of many to carry out certain functions. But at the end of the day, all of us have to be equal. It's just one amongst others that, okay, you be the leader so that you can coordinate. But a leader here is a different thing entirely. But it also boils down to our own people's attitude.
Right.
Where you don't have self-pride in yourself and you allow these people push you around for little pennies, this is what you are going to get. You cannot eat your cake and have it.
Right.
And by the way, maybe now is the time also to say happy birthday to Tunji Bello. He turned 60. And because the story here says Sanwo-Olu and Tinubu great environment minister. Tunji Bello, by the way, is one of us here. He's a member of our fraternity, the media fraternity. Yeah. So we say happy birthday to him.
Indeed, happy birthday, Tunji. Let's go to this story here. Punch, why we have not taken Super TV CEO's suspected killer to court. The police explaining.
Yes, from a media angle, I can understand why the press is sinking their teeth into the case of Chidinma and why every day you have something to talk about. But like GT Ogunye observes, that that this is what he says. Let me just read what he says. He says that Ogunye urged the police to get a remand order to justify the suspect's continued detention. Okay? And he quoted parts of the law that mandates them to obtain a remand order to justify her detention. And he says that the detention of this lady is not unconstitutional if a remand order has been obtained. If the remand order has not been obtained, the police will be expected to obtain one, and so on and so forth. And now this is what he says. It says, GT says that he expressed disappointment at how the police have been handling the investigation, adding that, listen carefully, the media access to interrogate her was unconstitutional. I think what that means is that it might affect the case in court if every time you get information from her, you allow her to talk, and without her lawyer being present, she might implicate herself further. She might even implicate herself in areas that she's not responsible for. I think that is what GT's argument is about. I would say that the police should shield her, and keep her away. Get your investigation done properly. Get a remand order like GT says.
Right.
Take your case to court.
Mm-hmm.
We're allowing her to say one thing today and one thing tomorrow. We like it in the media, though. It helps us sell our papers and sell our news on radio. But it might not be completely. Remember that this girl, even though she's 21 in age, she is still relatively young. And even though, yes, it might appear she might have quote and unquote confessed and so on and so forth, she must have her day in court under due process of the law. If you look at what has happened now, look at Bill Cosby.
Yeah,
it's been released by the Supreme Court of Land. Yes, because the law is a different matter from public opinion. The law doesn't deal with public opinion. The law deals with facts, irrespective of who you are. At least that's the way we are told it should be. And Bill Cosby was released on a technicality, and he walked out of jail this morning at 83. Okay, and Unilag has also said that the Vice Chancellor of University of Lagos has said that from the records available to us, Chidima Adaura Ojukwu is a student of the University of Lagos and was born in December 12, 1999. From her records from Abia State and her contract address he gave her, and that her next of kin is Mr. Ono Ojukwu. This is what Professor Ogundipe says. She says she is a student of this great university, irrespective of whether she is a part-time or full-time student. Her matriculation number is whatever it is. He quotes the number. Maybe it's good. Next time people claim to go to one school or the other, we ask them, sir, what's your matriculation number? So we can cross-check. So we can cross-check.
Let's leave the Vanguard. Let's leave the Punch. Let's go to the Vanguard. Let's go to Vanguard. So PDP leaders protest against Loretta Onoche's appointment as INEC commissioner.
Yeah, look, we've said it over and over again.
Yeah.
The appointment is a bit messy. Somebody sent me from clarification as to what her functions would be, but you need to look at the symbolism. You don't even want anybody who is apparently openly close to the president anywhere near the INEC office. Whether even if she's going to work in accounts. You understand what I'm saying? If she's going to, whether it's going to be work directly as an electoral officer in a state or not, the symbolism of her being around there gives an impression that she might, and I'm using the word might, be in a position to influence what goes on there. I think it's logical, and and I'm glad that the PDP are putting up a fight. I hope that the National Assembly will do the needful. Look, the president has about 250 something million Nigerians to take from, and if you want to narrow it down to a state, he will get about 20 billion choices to pick from. And why not just let us have peace and stop heating up the polity? The president should have been advised that putting somebody like this forward, a sheriff, would unduly heat up the polity. And these are things that the government does that I sometimes cannot explain. Why would I wanted to say who does that, but this is a new one. Why do we keep doing these things?
Yeah.
Why must it be her? I mean, this is not. I don't have anything at all against her person. It's not her person, but it's what the action symbolizes. And 2023, like I say, that is where my focus is on, really, on how we are going to get a government of our choice that will do the things that we think can move this country forward. That is where some of us are concentrating on, and I plead with you, that's the way to go. Don't be completely distracted by these things that will bog you down and take your eyes off the ball, and then in 2023 you are now between a rock and a hard place again, and you now start from the beginning to suffer for another 4 years. So in this regard, we really should protest the appointment of unfortunately this woman, because it has nothing to do with her person. Like I said, let me state that clearly again. Clearly again. That has nothing to do. It's just what the appointment. It's not what she symbolizes, but it is what the appointment symbolizes. that I think we could jolly well avoid. We don't need all this heat. We don't need this heat. If you look at, like I said earlier today, if you look at the rhetoric out there, okay, this country is charged seriously, and it's like on a thin razor edge.
Yep.
Anything can tilt it, and so we plead with the president to withdraw this name and pick some other person, please, to represent Delta State.
Indeed. Now we're going to go back to the Vanguard newspaper. This editorial here: media won't give up its constitutional mandate.
Yeah, and I support this editorial to the T. Let me read what the Vanguard starts with here. It says a major problem with Nigeria is an unrepentant tendency to place square pegs in round holes. And it says that Olusegun Odebunmi, the sponsor of the obnoxious bill to amend the MPC and the MBC, has had no training or experience in media practice. Yes, he was appointed as the chairman of the House of Reps Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values. And the Vanguard says that emboldened by his privileged position, Odebunmi has become the purveyor of the draconian amendment proposals that, if passed into law, are capable of destroying media practice and press freedom, and ultimately wreak havoc on the fabric of our democracy. And it talks also about, let me quickly skip this because we don't have the time. And it says, the Vanguard says that, let me read this. It says, the Vanguard says that we do not accept the empowerment which the proposed amendment bill donates to the MPC and the minister to grant licenses to media houses which they consider worthy of such. I agree with that, including the power to revoke such licenses. I agree with that. Sought further evidence that these amendment bills are open declarations of war on the media industry is in section 33.3, which imposes a 5 million naira fine or a 2-year jail term, or both, for any person who carries out a report found to be fake news. Such a person is to pay 2 million compensation to the victim. Also, the publisher of fake news will be liable to a fine of 10 million and a 20 million compensation to the victim. And the Vanguard argues that the extant laws of the country have adequately provided for the operation of the mass media accountably under the law and subject to the ethics of the profession and codes of social responsibility. Anyway, the Vanguard concludes here that for the media to strengthen its self-regulation, the old Nigeria Press Council should be revived. That was the one that was headed by the late Aji Odunewu. Constituent members of the Nigerian Press Organization, including the NPAN, the Guild of Editors, the NUJ, APCON, as other relevant bodies, should nominate the board of the council, while the court must continue to administer justice to all based on law. And the Vanguard calls on the House of Reps and the Senate to put aside their party and individual differences and put Odebunmi's bill where they think it belongs. I leave where you think it belongs to your imagination, even though it is stated here.
What do you think it belongs?
Where the Vanguard says it belongs is where I think it belongs.
The Vanguard did not say anything.
They did. I'm just not reading it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they said. Oh, yes, they said that where it belongs, and they said where it belongs.
Oh, okay.
But I'm a Vanguard alumnus, or what do you call it? So I want people to buy the paper so they can find.
Okay, nice. Interesting. Incidentally, I had the same conversation on Monday on the Crossfire. I had the Guild of Editors on the show, the president of the Guild of Editors. I also had the Bond on the show on Monday, and they both vehemently opposed some of the insertions that the government, not the government really, but Honorable Odebunmi was trying to sneak into
definitely they're draconian, and some of them have what to us would look like a sinister motive. But I would also plead with our members to beef up our self-censorship.
Right.
Because these things go both ways. The media too has to live up to its responsibility, and it is very, very vital. Very, very vital. Also, something definitely must be done by some people who claim they are practitioners and they are not. and are causing our profession a very big embarrassment, like Chief Oshoba said. Everybody now, if there's an accident now, the first thing you do is carry a camera rather than look for aid for the victim.
That's right.
Say, this
That's
is so
right.
reporting live. I always laugh at these things. When you are recording, you're not reporting live. Let's leave the job to those who are trained to do it. Because what we have out there now, part of the problems that we have, Sheriff, out there now, all the anger you can see, part of them have been fueled by information being handled by untrained hands. A lot of mischief has come to play. There's a lot of disinformation. There's a lot of disinformation that has brought to actually destabilize us as a people. And that's what we're facing. We're falling victim to them. Who are behind these things, we honestly don't know. Okay? What we do know is that we're almost at the point of getting into fisticuffs with ourselves. It will be sad if at the end of the day you discover that you've had all this and there was nothing really to fight for. And that's why some of us, we're a bit more careful in the things that we do and the things that we are trained. We're trained, and I believe we're sensible people, and therefore we definitely will not be throwing a grenade in a burning fire. Definitely not. God forbid.
God forbid that. God forbid that.
You want to do the same thing?
Do what? What are you takaing? I mean, what does that even?
No, to be involved in false information. You don't. Not the two. You don't only with the right hand.
Just one. Okay, sorry.
You're the left one who simply remain in your left pocket.
But there are some people that you are doing your own backwards. Some people do like this, forward. Yes, now you've not seen
I did
those
my own
ones.
backwards because there's nobody behind me. If you do it forward, look at this guy. Philip is in front of you. Do you want him to catch
people would do it forward, even if 105 million.
I know it's not fair. It's not fair. Philip, now look, he's almost going to run away from behind the pillar.
Interesting. What's coming up at 9?
At 9, we just have a general discussion with people.
Okay.
So stay on. We'll be back at 9 o'clock.
Fantastic, Jimmy. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, Sheriff.
I am Sheriff Quadry. The news is next. After the news, we'll continue our series on addiction. This time, we're talking alcohol addiction. So if you like alcohol and you want to know whether you're addicted to it or not, or you need help, I have Dr. Mobalawa from Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital Yaba joining us. She's here already. We'll have that conversation at 8 o'clock. Stay here on Nigeria Info.
Exciting conversations every day. Every day.
Let us make up our minds. Do we want a breakup of
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.